Good afternoon. Welcome to Mr. Chen's Masterclass once again. So today I would like to talk about that 4.2, which is the same as 5.2 and 6.2 from the pre-calc textbook by James Stewart. Okay, so here's the one. And the one that I'm using 4.2 is because that's the same kind of material coming out from the different textbook here. So trigonometric functions, the unit circle. So normally the way to express that, the 6 trig ratio, it's by using adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse, all that. But instead of using that adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse, we're using x, y, and r. Okay? So one thing that we notice, so let's say we do have a triangle in the first quadrant. So the given segment here, adjacent, let's say that's x. Here's y, because the point here is x comma y. And then this one's just the radius. So sine of theta, it's always considered y over r. Cosine of theta, it's x over r. And then tangent of theta, it's y over x. Cosecant, it's r over y. And then secant of theta, it's r over x. Cotangent, which is x over y. Okay? So again, it's all about the unit circle, but instead of using that, all that, the ratio, adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse, we're using x, y, and r. So find the xy coordinate for every point on a unit circle. Okay, so once again, this one, we talked about that before. So which is what? Cosine of 30, root 3 over 2. Sine of 30, 1/2. Cosine of 45, root 2 over 2. So sine of 45 degree, root 2 over 2. And then cosine of pi over 3. Cosine of 60, so it's 1/2. So sine of 60, so sine of pi over 3, root 3 over 2. And then the rest of those, just the reflections. So it shows that negative, positive, negative, negative, and then over here, positive, negative. Okay, so evaluate the 6 trigonometric function of the real number theta. So you want to find out cosine of, just take this one to the new page. Okay, so let's put it right here. Okay, so what we got here is cosine of negative 3 pi over 4. So negative radian, that means we're going by clockwise instead of going by counterclockwise. So it's negative 3 pi over 4, so it's going to quadrant 3 right here. So here's the angle, the reference triangle with the reference angle. So we do know that this one is by pi over 4, so cosine of pi over 4 in quadrant 3. So then that would be considered negative root 2 over 2. And then sine of negative 3 pi over 4. So sine of 3 pi over 4 in quadrant 3. Pi over 4 in quadrant 3. Then that would be considered negative root 2 over 2 as well. And then tangent. So the ratio of tangent is just y over x. Again, this one is just x. This one is just y. So y over x, then that would be 1. And then cotangent, which is the reciprocals of tangent, so it's also 1. Secant, negative 3 pi over 4. So that's just the reciprocals of negative root 2 over 2, so which is negative 2 over root 2. In other words, negative 2 root 2 over 2, or which is just negative root 2. And then cosecant, same thing, which is the reciprocals of this, so negative root 2, just like that. And then cosine of pi, well, cosine of pi is negative 1, sine of pi, 0, and then tangent of pi, sine over cosine, so 0, cotangent of pi, reciprocals of 0, undefined, and then secant of pi, so secant of pi, then that would be considered the reciprocals of negative 1, which is negative 1, and then cosecant of pi, which is the reciprocals of 0, undefined. Okay, so for this one, you want to find out the reference angle first and the quadrant. Okay. So back to the page. Evaluate the function. So sine of 25 pi. So sine of 25 pi, just like going back to pi for the position. So going around the unit circle. So it looks like 24 times, more than 24 times. So this one just the same as sine of pi. So then that'd be 0. And then cosine of negative 21 pi over 4. So you can always find out the positive coterminal angle first. So basically this one just add 24 pi over 4. Basically just adding 6 pi. So we got cosine of 3 pi over 4. So cosine of 3 pi over 4, then that would be considered negative root 2 over 2. And then cotangent of negative 35 pi over 3. So this one is just cotangent of negative 35 pi over 3 plus 36 pi over 3. So add 12 pi. Find out the positive coterminal angle first. So cotangent of pi over 3. So cotangent of pi over 3, cotangent of 60. So cotangent of 60, which is consider 1/2 over root 3 over 2, which is just 1 over root 3. So root 3 over 3. Just like that. And this one, you probably want to try that, cosecant. Again, find out the positive coterminal angle first, and then find out the ratio. And then what about for number 6? Okay, so number 6. So let's do A, B, and C. Again, D, I just want you to think about it. Okay, so for 6, A, B, and C. So given that sine of t is 1/10, and then evaluate the following expression. Okay, let's put it right here. So sine of negative t. So this one is just the odd-even function property. So one thing that we notice, cosine of theta is the same as, cosine of negative theta. And then for secant, similar, even function property. So secant of negative theta. But what about for the odd function property? So let's say sine of theta, negative theta, is the same as negative sine theta. And then tangent, similar. Tangent of negative theta, it's the same as negative tangent of theta. And then cosecant of theta, negative theta, is the same as negative cosecant of theta. And then one more, which is cotangent. Cotangent of negative theta, it's the same as negative cotangent of theta. Okay, so this one is sine of negative t, so it's the same as negative sine t, using the even odd function property. It's odd function. So one thing that we notice, sine of t is 1/10, so plug in a number, so negative 1/10, then that'd be the ratio. And then what about sine of negative t to the power of 3? So basically this one, you try to expand it, so it's sine of negative t to the power of 3. So it's negative sine of t to the power of 3. So negative 1/10 to the power of 3. So negative 1 over 1,000. And then what about cosecant square of pi over t, pi plus t? So t, well this one sine of t, it's in the first quadrant. So 1/10, so that shows what opposite over hypotenuse. So cosecant is just the reciprocals of sine. So this one can be written as 1 over sine square of pi plus t. So pi plus t, that means we're going all the way down to quadrant 3. So it's 1 over sine of pi plus t. So in the quadrant 3, it's the same triangle. So it's going to be like this. Again, the reference angle is just like t, but the opposite turns out to be negative 1. So negative 1 over 10 to the power of 2. So eventually, it's 1 over 100. Take the reciprocal, so it's 100. Just like that. Okay, so this section is pretty straightforward. It's about the 6th trigonometric ratio, using that x, y, r, instead of using adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse. But make sure that you're wondering about the even, odd functions. It's all about the property that we need to apply. Even function, cosine and secant. Odd function, sine, tangent, cosecant. Excuse me, this one's supposed to be CSC, not CSS. And then cotangent. Okay, so thank you for watching the video today. So I'll see you next time.